Hello, I'm Bob Penafeather with ARMA, and this is another show, Talking with Bob. I'm here now with Chuck Mason. He's our city clerk, and we're going to interview Chuck and all his activities. As you can see, we have our mask on. We're 6 feet apart. Welcome, Chuck. Thank you very much for your time and
welcome.
Taking time out to visit with us for a while here. And at that point, I'm taking my mask off, so because it's you can't understand there. I'm sure everybody wants to see my face.
That's right.
You want to take yours off?
Sure, I will.
Everybody for clarity, and then well, here we are. We just did the mayor, which I thought went very well. The whole purpose of all this is information, for people to turn on the show and get information and learn something they didn't know anything about, and especially in our own backyard.
Yep.
And get a laugh or two in between, and then they'd shut off and say, boy, that was enjoyable. That's good, I didn't know that. Yep. So that's the whole mission. One of them being your job. People say city clerk. Okay, fine, I can spell city and clerk. Above and beyond that, what do you do?
Yep.
How many years have you been here? Mm-hmm. So let's start with that. How many years you been a city clerk?
Sure. Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks for coming to City Hall, and thanks to James, cameraman. And want to start out by just thanking you both and ARMA, the organization, for everything you do to help us here at City Hall with communicating to the public through the local public access TV channels.
Yeah.
I do know that we send our council meeting videos over, and they're shown on ARMA each week, and there are quite a few people in the community that watch the shows, and they really appreciate it, and it definitely, we get the feedback from people. So as well as whatever I send over for announcements and stuff you guys put on, it's a great service to the community. So let's just start out by saying thank you, and thanks for asking me to.
We're still working with you. Our team's working with your team on
all kinds
cameras
of stuff.
and
Exactly.
video and
Yep.
clarity and voice and quality and the whole 9 yards. That's
right.
an ongoing process.
Yeah, we're about to upgrade things a little bit with the technology that actually streams that out, which will help to improve the quality of it. That was something we were going to do back in the spring, but the COVID pandemic kind of slowed that process down a little bit. We'll be back on track in a couple months here.
Yeah.
But to get started, I've been back to City Hall as city clerk for about 6.5 years now. And prior to that, about 20 years ago, I served one term on the council in Auburn, the city council. And I had one term on the school board in Auburn. So I've always been kind of dabbling around in the local government, both city council and at the school district level. And it's good to be back. 6.5 years, it's hard to believe that it's been that long already. It's flown by. One thing that people don't know about Auburn, there's a lot of people that know it, but there's also a lot of people that don't know it, is Auburn has a part-time mayor and city council that works with a full-time city manager. And the city manager is actually the person that's in charge. He's like the CEO of the organization of the city of Auburn. And the city employs about 300 plus full-time and part-time people. Everything from our police officers and our firefighters, our water treatment system, our sewage treatment system, our DPW, our parks and recreation, our general government services here at City Hall. It all adds up to over 300 people. And all of those people work under our city manager. And our city manager works every day and every week with our part-time mayor and city council. What I do as city clerk is I work with the mayor and council. My prime role is to be the record keeper for the mayor and the council, and to help work with the city manager and work with the mayor and council to communicate what it is that the city of Auburn is doing, throughout the organization. So some of the things that I personally work on every day here at City Hall is our city communication tools, which is our city website, auburnny.gov is the name of the website. And then we have several social media pages, and I kind of oversee all of that. At the same time, you have to be able to pick up the phone and place a phone call. And we work here with the mayor and the city council's office. Rhonda Miller is the receptionist for the mayor and the council, and you can always call Rhonda at 315-255-4104, and she's a point of entry for anybody, and she can really point you in the right direction if you need to know where to go or what to do. Things have been a little bit different for the past 4 months because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The city was closed for a couple of months during all of that shutdown. We are now reopened, and we're trying to get the word out to everybody that the city facility is open, but there's new protocols in place. You do have to wear the masks when you come into the building. We ask people, especially if you're coming to the public meetings and stuff, to keep the masks on, to keep yourself socially distanced. We ask everybody to use the same entrance at the back of the building to come in and out, and people are asked to sign in. And a lot of people in Auburn will interact often with the city clerk's office for their vital statistics. That's the number one point of business. So the birth certificates, the death certificates, the marriage certificates, and especially in today's world with all of the increased security measures and stuff, it seems like every month that goes by, there's more and more reasons that people need their vital statistics to prove to their insurance companies or prove to whatever it is that they're doing to be able to conduct their business. So, as well as the accessible parking permits. So the accessible parking permits actually extend outside of the city of Auburn. That's more of a regional thing. People can come here and get their accessible parking permits, and that's all done through the city clerk's office. And I have the great fortune of working with Colleen and Melissa in the office, and they do a great job with keeping the office running on a day-to-day basis.
The permits, that would be the handicap sticker, accessible parking, and what have
Yes.
you. For the public, what do they need to apply for
Yes, that's a good
a
question.
handicap sticker and
Yep. There's
and to stay away from the abuse of such programs?
exactly, because it's an important program for people that need those accessible permits. It's actually a statewide program, so there is a state form that needs to be filled out by your doctor. So you'll get your doctor's signature on that form. You'll bring it into the office, then you'll need your driver's license. All those forms, everything that we do at the office, all of the forms and things that you need are available on the city's website, or you can get the hard copies right here at City Hall of those
What
forms.
about abuse?
Yes, we take the abuse of the program very seriously, and our police chief is basically in charge of, handling matters. The police department will handle, when unfortunately sometimes those things will get stolen or they'll get lost, or sometimes people just find them. So we'll bring them in, but those types of cases get handed over to our police department. But then we will work with the people to replace their tags, especially if they've been stolen.
Somebody sees a neighbor or probably a neighbor or somebody in the neighborhood within the streets that doesn't need it anymore or is abusing it. When they call your office and then you follow up from there?
When those things do come to our attention, we'll turn that over to our local authorities for them to
And then they do the
handle.
follow-up and whatever.
They'll do that follow-up and the investigation.
You don't send a letter out to that person saying, hey, you're not in compliance, or?
Not out of the clerk's office. No, that would be the police department will
All
do
right.
that. Yep.
What do you like about your job?
The thing that I like most about my job is that I get a front row seat to a lot of great work that's happening in the city of Auburn. And when you see it up close and in person, like I had the opportunity to see it, it's really impressive. And I don't think that the community always understands the amount of behind the scenes work that goes into the service delivery of local government. And a lot of times we take for granted the fact that we just can wake up in the morning, turn on the water tap, and the water's flowing. We take our showers, We
Take it for granted.
yeah, take it for granted. And you know, when you turn on the tap or when you flush the toilet or when you go out in the wintertime and the streets are already plowed and everything for you, so you can get to work. There's a lot of people that have been working overnight usually, especially in the wintertime when we have our storms. The crews will be called out at 2, 3 in the morning to get into work, to get plowing for us.
Do you have, I would assume all the department heads report to
Jeff Dyke.
Jeff.
Yep.
I'm sure the mayor and yourself are probably included in the loop on a lot of stuff that might go on. For hiring, somebody wants to go to work for the city. Is there a human resource department?
Yep.
Is there, you do have one?
Well, we use a civil service process for overwhelming majority of the jobs here in Auburn. So we do have a Auburn Civil Service Commission, and their office is right up on the second floor of City Hall, right down the hall from the city manager's office. And our city manager is always working with the Civil Service Commission. But to get a job with the city, especially if it's a police officer job or a firefighter job or one of the more permanent full-time jobs within the organization, you oftentimes have to take a civil service test, which has to be done ahead of time, well ahead of time. And it's definitely a process that is new to a lot of people when they first discover it, and is not intuitive to a lot of people, because in today's world we can jump on our phones and we can download apps and we can apply for 10 jobs in 10 minutes and probably start getting some email responses from places that would be willing to hire you within the week. The civil service process requires a lot of planning ahead of time. You have to be able to sign up for the test. The tests are given sometimes annually, sometimes biannually, but it's a long-term process. Now, unfortunately, this year, part-time, temporary, seasonal positions were removed from the budget. But sometimes those seasonal positions, you don't necessarily have to go through that entire civil service process. It's just as easy to fill out an application. Somebody will give you a call you in for an interview. That's kind of a quicker process.
And that's for part-time?
That'll be for part-time seasonal people,
Seasonal.
which unfortunately we don't have any this year.
Then you have to take it in normal times. If they get in their foot in the door, like we always say, they can move into a full-time position. If that takes place, do they still have to take that?
Yes, you still have to be on the civil service
They still have to go through that
list.
civil service process.
Exactly.
Even though they've been working for the city for a while, to bump up and go in to become a permanent employee, all employees have to be civil service.
Exactly.
Correct?
So, yep. And sometimes, if, let's say, for example, if there's not a current civil service list for a particular position, the city manager would have the ability to hire somebody, and they call it in the civil service world, the city manager hires the person provisionally. The next time the test comes up, the person understands that they have to take the test, and they have to end up being one of the top 3 scorers on the test to be able to get hired officially and permanently.
They got to be in the top 3 to get that. So regardless, working on a city crew of any sort whatsoever, they still are civil service.
Yep.
I don't think many people understand that.
Yeah, and it's we try to do everything we can to educate the public, and we are at the moment we are advertising the next police exam. So if this video is going to show soon during the month of August,
yes, it will. Yeah.
The deadline, the next civil service exam for the position of police officer is September 26th of 2020. And the deadline to apply for that exam is August 26th. You have to apply to take that exam 1 month ahead of time. So if people are watching this and it's before August 26th, 2020, you still have time to be able to contact the Auburn Civil Service Office and sign up to take that exam. But that's the kind of planning you have to do ahead of time.
Okay, Auburn Service, I have to ask this, Auburn Civil Service, do they call in, do they apply online, do they make, how do they, what's the process for that?
Yep. You can find all of the information that you need on the city's website. You would then download the applications, fill them out, and return them here to the Civil Service office on the second floor. Now, here's another thing, Bob, about the Auburn Civil Service Commission. The Auburn Civil Service Commission, which the office is here on the second floor of City Hall, handles all the jobs for the city of Auburn, and it handles the jobs for the Auburn School District. So that's one thing that the city works with the school district on.
Yeah, okay.
So for jobs at the school district and for jobs at the city of Auburn, you go through City Hall here.
You don't you don't go through the school district.
Not for the civil service jobs. You have the ability to apply at the school office as well.
Yeah.
And then for the county civil service jobs, there's a civil service office at the Q County office building. So it gets very complicated for government. And if you're not familiar with the civil service process, please call our civil service office. Jeff Whiting, the clerk, will always be willing to help people.
And give you better direction at that time, whatever jobs are available.
And my recommendation to people is that if they're interested in government jobs, that they start taking civil service exams, even if they're positions that you're not necessarily interested in, just for the practice of taking civil service exams.
Can you just take a civil service exam, pass it, have it on file, so when jobs open up, they just go over to the file, pull it out? Or is the civil service exam specifically for that particular job?
Exactly.
It is.
The exams are specific to the titles of the jobs.
All right.
Yeah, and it's that's what makes it such a very cumbersome process. In today's world, it kind of has its own set of slow, archaic kind of processes, but it is what we're required by law to use.
Yeah.
So.
But you don't have your own, Auburn does not have their own human resource department.
The city council a couple of years ago created a human resources person, and that position works with our city manager and with our comptroller's office. And he works, his name is Todd Webb, who was hired. He works with the Civil Service Commission office. But we don't, I wouldn't necessarily say that we have a full-blown human resources department yet, but we're taking steps towards trying to get there.
What do you dislike about your job? When you get up in the morning, and go, I hope I don't have to do this today.
No, I can honestly say that I truly do love my job. I love coming to Auburn City Hall. It's a beautiful building, great place to work, a lot of great people.
Great people. I said that in the mayor's interview. I says, in my personal experience over the years in creating all this here, well, not me creating, but working on a team negotiating contracts, that was only supposed to last 6 months. It's 14 years now. 15 years.
I think if we're involved with, government is involved with politics, and that's the way it is. I mean, our city councilors and our mayor are elected people, and if there's one thing that I don't like, it's that when sometimes there will be people from the public that'll kind of lump our local elected officials and our local people in with some of the state and national politics, which have a much different and much harsher rhetoric than what we live by locally. 99.9% of the time, it's not working that way here at the local level.
I think it's a frustration point, and this is not only my personal view, but my personal take listening to many people over the years, is when you sit in a city council and you watch and one doesn't want, it seems like they can't move the dot, just gets hung up because of political issues, drives people nuts. And say, why can't you just work together on the issue? And, and put the politics aside. My personal beef has always been, somebody votes no on a project or whatever it is. Well, rather than just voting no, put in a solution next to that.
Yep.
You know, what didn't you like about it? I think the people deserve that.
Yep.
To say, okay, elected officials, you don't like something, that's understandable. You're not going to get, I wouldn't want 100% of the people go, oh yeah, that's a great idea, because you're going to end up down the wrong path. But if you vote no for something, or if you have a gripe about something, rather than griping and you know, put a solution next to it. You know, this is why I said no. But here's another solution next to it.
Yeah.
To kick around on the floor or whatever.
Yep.
And I think that drives people crazy when they just sit there and go, well, here, they don't want it because they're Democrats, or they don't want it because they're Republican, and you sit there and go, oh, here, we're in gridlock.
Yep.
And of course, on a national basis, we're seeing it all the time.
Yeah.
Which is,
and that's what I think, you know, I think our mayor and our city council currently and for the last several years has done a pretty good job of working together and communicating together. But that's a great example is that a lot of times, you know, so just not a lot of times, but sometimes people will communicate to us that, oh, you're all a bunch of politicians and no politician can get anything done, that type of thing.
Well,
but things have to happen at the local level.
Yeah.
And, you know, our, you know, previously today you interviewed Mayor Michael Quill. He's been here for, he's in his 13th year now as mayor and career firefighter ahead of that. So he really knows the local government. Then we've got Debbie McCormick and Terry Cuddy, who have been on for 7 years. We've got Jimmy Genentino, who's been on for 5 years. And then the newest member of the council is Tim LaCastro.
Yeah.
Now, you know, not everybody's coming from the same perspective, but when they do come to the council meeting, there's respectful discussion, and sometimes the votes are 5-0, sometimes the votes are 4-1, 3-2. You never know what the vote's going to be, but you know, for the most part, I think that the council here in Auburn does a very good job of keeping things civil and keep moving the business along so that, you know, things can happen.
well, I think that the people got a lot of good information out of this here interview. I appreciate that very much. I do taking the time, and that's the key mission is they learn something. And I think, you know, jobs and how do you get jobs and how does the government work. I think between this interview and the mayor's interview, hopefully our viewers pick up quite a bit of information like, oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know,
And
have better direction.
People can always feel free to pick up the phone and call. The mayor and council's office is 315-255-4104. Check the website, but feel free to give us a call at any point in time because we will respond, help you out if you don't know where to call or, you know, where to go for an issue. And, you know, we do it every day, and that's what we're here for. We're here to help people. But thank you for coming around. And
listen, thank you very much.
We
you know, appreciate your time, and you know, and the doggone mask. But
that's right.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Thanks for viewing. Hope you get a lot of good information. We certainly have the contact information. And until the next show, wear a mask.
That's right.
Stay 6 feet apart. Stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.